Hi. Today, I'm gonna be watching 12 dumb mistakes you made in Pokemon. This one caught my attention just because, one, it's from MandJTV, and also, I got a couple of recommendations for this one especially, so I'm really excited to watch this. Hi, I'm Maple. I like Pokemon. I mostly do Nuzlocke, Soul Links, that kind of shit, and my current, obsession is Pokemon Kaizo Ironmon. I think I have the rules open. Yeah, it's this challenge. There's a shit ton of rules. But yeah, this is my current obsession. I just really like it. It's full of, like, pain and suffering, but it's, like, the cool type. Trust. But anyways, yeah, oh my god, look at this video. Whoa, time to watch it. Wee!
You used to be stupid.
Well, yes, I was a child once.
And so did I.
Yeah.
And some of you might still be. But most of us have grown quite a lot since.
Well, I play a challenge where you have one Pokemon. Everything is random. The opponent's Pokemons are also random. Their moves are random. What I learn is random. You're only allowed one Pokemon. The items you pick up off the floor is random. You can't heal except in battle using those items. Yeah, I'm still pretty dumb, aren't I? Yeah.
We started playing Pokemon, so to appreciate how far we've come, I've assembled a list of 12 dumb mistakes in Pokemon that you and I made, taken directly from comments you all left on a post that I made on my community tab.
I'll share mine. So, one time when I picked up a Master Ball, I believe it was Pokemon Ruby, and I ran out of Pokeballs, but I really wanted the Skarmory because, well, he wouldn't get in the Pokeball. So I used my Master Ball on the Skarmory. That's it. I started a new game after shortly anyways, but like, you know, that's what I did.
I have ordered these entries such that as the video progresses, the mistakes will get kind of less whimsical and more painful. When you start your Pokemon journey, your starter Pokemon knows 2 or 3 moves. A damaging normal type move like Pound or Tackle, a stat affecting move like Growl or Tail Whip, and in later games a stab move like Leafage or Ember. Then when you start battling with those moves for the first time, Tackle appears to be getting you closer to victory, while Growl doesn't seem to do anything. Then when similar moves start cropping up later like Dragon Dance or Calm Mind, who cares?
No, I was the same when I was a kid. I was like, damn, this move doesn't do any damage. It must be dog shit.
This is not a banger. This is not a banger. And I know bangers. I know bangers.
Wow, stat boosting moves? Wow, that's garbage.
A classic. If it doesn't deal damage, it's
That's
useless.
me!
Yes, indeed. This mistake is ignoring non-damaging moves. And I'm guilty of this myself. In my earliest playthroughs, there would not be a single Pokemon in my—
Oh my god, that's him? He was so baby. Oh my god. Hold up. Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I'm guilty of this myself. In my earliest
The lighting is
playthroughs, there
also
would not be a—
the lighting is also so different. Oh, that's a bad frame to pause on. Yeah, the lighting's so different. It used to, like, the lighting is a lot better now, but I guess that just comes with being, I don't know, a more experienced YouTuber, right?
single Pokemon in my party that knew any attack that was not a straight up attack, aside from maybe Thunder Wave for catching legendaries. Inflicting status conditions like poison is more obviously helpful, but especially later game when the Elite Four start using full restores, they don't feel that helpful. And then stat affecting moves like Swords Dance? Why would I care about my—
+2 attack? Must be garbage. It doesn't do 10 damage. Bah! I was the same. Oh my god. I think a lot of people had that realization. Eventually, when you grow older and you're like, oh, setup move is scary. It's especially scary when you start seeing a setup move on the enemy Pokemon in a Nuzlocke because they're about to sweep your ass so hard.
my Pokemon doing a little dance with swords? If it's not gonna use the swords, then it's stupid. But then I got older, dabbled a little bit in the competitive scene and learned, oh my god, some of these non-damaging moves are amazing. Toxic Spikes can win you battles you would not win otherwise. If the enemy Pokemon uses Dragon Dance, I get very scared. but also
I get terrified. I get terrified when the enemy Pokemon uses Dragon Dance. But no, speaking of toxic, I had like this egg lock one time where well, everything's randomized, right? So the opponent sends out a Garantina, and I had no other way of winning. But I had a Gourgeist use Metronome, and it rolled into Toxic, and I won that battle. It was crazy.
So I myself have Dragon Dance sweeped many playthrough battles. I've been in particularly tough fights where I used one move to drop the defenses of the enemy so I could bring in another one to KO it. And I wouldn't have been able to succeed that battle had I not used that non-damaging move. And to think so many years ago, myself and so many of you undervalued these status moves so much. However, some people, like Business Scrub for example, have valued them the whole time. Just incorrectly. Back in the day, I used to think stat changes were permanent. I spent an embarrassingly long time spamming Squirtle's Withdraw against Metapods and Kakunas, thinking that it was permanently raising my defense. I also had to, of course, counteract every enemy use of a stat-lowering move as often as possible, which led to me accidentally using stat-boosting moves regularly as a kid, but in the most awkward, useless way imaginable. I gotta say, I think that's probably worse than not using them at all. This next mistake is one that I made, but I have to give you some important background information. When I was a kid, I had a poster of all the Johto Pokemon in Pokedex order. As you can see, Dunsparce is immediately followed by Gligar. I got this poster before I had ever played any of the video games. I'd only watched the show, and even when I did start playing the games, I started with Ruby, which does not have Dunsparce or Gligar.
That was like my first official actual Pokemon game as well. Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald is like my starting point, so I have like insane amount of weakness towards Gen 3 nostalgia.
So because of their order on the poster, the blue on their bodies, their pointed tails, and not having anything to tell me wrong, for several years I mistakenly thought Dunsparce evolved into Gligar. I thought the prongs under Dunsparce's mouth turned over and became Gligar's horns. And I'm not the only one to get confused by this. Maybe the Dunsparce Gligar one specifically, I'm the only one, but a common childhood mistake is getting evolutions wrong. In the Fire Red Pokedex, it would place Pokemon based on their environment location. It'd have their evolution families pictured in little circles and organized like pages in a book. The Diglett line in Onix shared a page, and for the longest time I thought Dugtrio evolved into Onix.
I remember this page. Yeah, they were on the same page. Oh my god.
See, that's basically the same scenario as me. Although I will say, at least Dunsparce and Gligar have more in common aesthetically than Dugtrio and Onix. Thinking that Electabuzz evolved into Mandibuzz. Okay, that one I cannot defend.
That one's very different. I swear Mandibuzz is like Gen 5.
I mean, like, I get that they both have buzz in their name, but like one's a weird tiger and one is a vulture. Now, I cannot speak for these commenters about whether they ever actually acted upon these errors, but I personally never tried to evolve Dunsparce into Gligar, because I learned I was wrong before I ever actually got a Dunsparce or a Gligar. And thus I never wasted any time trying to make it happen. However, some of you did waste time, because you didn't get a species relationship wrong, you got an evolution method wrong. I was under the assumption that all Pokemon evolved by level and that all Pokemon could evolve, explaining me having a level 92 Kadabra and being sorely disappointed when I found out I needed friends to evolve it. Leaf Green was my first Pokemon game, and in one of my later runs, after having already had to restart because I got lost in Silphco, I accidentally released my starter just before facing Surge. Already starting bad here, but like, let's keep going.
No.
That wasn't the mistake though, as it allowed me to rebuild my team around the unstoppable being that is Graveler. It pretty much soloed the entire game, but I did notice there was a spot for it to evolve into Golem in the Pokedex. Unfortunately, I didn't know trade evos were a thing, so I just kept rock blasting the Elite Four repeatedly with my level 99 Graveler, hoping it would eventually evolve, or at the very least, I would finally unlock whatever was in that cave by Cerulean City. This is Tyler, PM7's editor, and I asked him how old he was when all of these disasters happened, and he was 7. So it does make more sense. This next mistake might be the most common one on the list. You're given a starter and it's immediately better than most everything else in the area. Sure, some matchups aren't ideal, but you can get around them with the excessive levels it got by being the only one to hit the field. If your starter is so good, why use anything else? Using only your starter is such a common mistake that I would wager that most people who started playing Pokemon under age like 11 have done this. I definitely did. In both of my first 2 games, Ruby and Leaf Green, I used only my starters basically the whole way through. Blade the Sceptile and...
I did that. I think my Blastoise or my Squirtle or whichever one it was, I forget which one playthrough I just didn't evolve my Squirtle because I was like, I think my Squirtle can do this. I believe in my Squirtle. My Squirtle's gonna be awesome. Trust me, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Yeah, it was not fine.
Squirt the Blastoise. Now you can beat the games with just a starter, but you're gonna run into some really difficult matchups that would not be as difficult if you had a balanced team. In my first Ruby playthrough, I could not beat Brawly with only my Grovyle, so I spent ages grinding it up to a ridiculous level to win. And I'm not the only one who let my starter do too much work. My starter was a Typhlosion. Everything was great until young me saw Karen's Houndoom had Flash Fire for its ability. My moves were Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and Flame Wheel. Only coverage move was Rollout. I was screwed. Oddly enough, Rollout seems like a pretty solid move in that situation, but you know, still not a great situation. The dumbest thing I ever did in Pokemon was that for my first time ever playing, I didn't catch a single one because I didn't know how. Using only my starter the whole time. I lost many times. Okay, this is the first one I've seen where they used only their starter, not because it was easier, but because they literally did not know how to do anything else.
Okay, but like, think about it this way. They were just playing Ironmon before Ironmon was like an actual challenge. What if they're just a pioneer of their times?
Ha! It is I, Guarantee Boy, and I am enraged!
Oh, why?
I just realized that I've been paying for a Pilates studio membership for over a year!
Ah, shit,
I thought
bro.
I canceled it after I pulled both hamstrings at once, but apparently not!
This is me, except I've been subscribed to like Humble Bundle, not sponsored by the way, since 2019. And you know what all I fucking play is? Pokemon. All I play is like Pokemon. But I've been subscribed to Humble Bundle since like 2019, so now I pay my mods and free game keys, I guess.
Sounds like you need the sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. It's a personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and just generally manage your money better. Did you just say Rocket Money?
Oh, yeah, I did. That's funny. I didn't even realize until...
Tell me everything.
All right. I'm using Rocket Money to help me cancel subscriptions that I'm not using and maybe forgot about. It safely identifies recurring charges and cancels the ones you don't want for you, all from the app without having to call customer service.
Yippee!
It's also handy for setting budgets to develop better spending habits, monitoring spending by category, and notifying you when you've exceeded your limits. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when using all the features, and over $500 million in canceled subscriptions.
I need this. I could defeat Pilates with the power of Rocket Money.
Well, then join the 5 million members today by going to rocketmoney.com/MandJTV or by clicking the link in the description below where you can get started for free. And you can also unlock more features with premium.
rocketmoney.com/MandJTV. Got it. Time for my finances to blast off. In like a good way, to be clear.
Yeah, in a good way.
Ta-ta!
This next mistake is one that Pokemon causes by being honestly a deceptive game. It is a cute, generally kid-friendly franchise with cute or cool creatures to collect, but then the formula for attack damage looks like this.
Yeah,
then the stat
it
page of a
does.
summary is a
Yeah,
bunch of
it
numbers, and while you
does.
were probably old enough to understand bigger number equals
Bigger number, better
there's a lot going on
Pokemon.
here that isn't immediately clear. Because of that, I never really looked at my Pokemon stats growing up, and if you did the same, it likely led to this mistake. Ignoring physical versus special.
Ah,
In case
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't know today, physical moves are those involving physical strikes, usually with the Pokemon's body, and special moves tend to be ranged, energy-related attacks.
Yeah, to be fair though, back in Gen 3, which is like the gen I started with, I had no idea the physical special split wasn't a thing yet, so when I started playing newer games, for example, well, newer games in quotations, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, like that, Gen 4 is when they brought the physical special split. Because before, all what is it? The evolutions plus dragons would all be special only moves. So like, you know, the water or the fire or the grass, psychic, dark, that kind of stuff. It would all be special only. And then everything else would only be physical, right? Of course, I'm not listing all of it, but still, I had no idea that was a thing. I just assumed the things that wouldn't touch would automatically be special. But then I was told that, hey, yeah, did you know Shadow Ball is actually physical in the older games? Yeah, ghosts are physical, yeah. Yeah, funny, haha.
Today, each move is classified individually, but before Gen 4, it depended on the type of move. This matters because some Pokemon like Machamp have high physical attack and poor special attack, and others like Alakazam are the opposite. Some Pokemon like Kingler were doomed to always be terrible before Gen 4 since it had sky-high physical attack, but all water moves were special. In short, if you don't understand the difference between physical and special, you're likely handicapping your Pokemon with moves that you think are gonna be good, but actually stink.
I also want to say that, especially in the older games when they were very limited in the character space for abilities, I had no idea what half of the abilities did. Like, for example, I think Overgrow was like, oh, it ups grass moves in a pinch. And I was like, so like when they're hit with like a move that pinches them, I don't know, like Vice Grip, like specifically Vice Grip, then my grass type moves will be boosted? Yeah, sure. What a shitty ability. Now I know it just means, it means like they're low HP, or like, yes, they're in a pinch, because I didn't understand metaphors as a kid.
Didn't know about if attacks were physical, special, had extra effects. If the move name sounded cooler, my mons would learn it. Little me was shocked my Hyper Beam, Gardevoir, and Emerald didn't help a lot. To be fair, Hyper Beam isn't as bad on Gardevoir anymore, because it's a special move now. Hyper Beam being physical because it was a normal type is one of the more famous examples of the type-based physical special split not really making much sense. Another famous one is like Fire Punch being special. It's literally a punch. Not understanding attack and special attack when I was a kid, just going off type effectiveness and base power. The main memory I have of this is having my Machoke use Fire Blast on a Metagross and wondering why it only did about 1/8 of its health. Ooh, yeah. Machoke has a base special attack stat of only 50. Also, how did it get to do anything against Psychic type Metagross at all? Another not immediately obvious Pokemon mechanic is Stab, which is short for same type attack bonus. Any attack your Pokemon uses that matches the user's type gets a 50% boost in power. It's there so you actually have a reason to use a fire type Pokemon instead of just teaching Flamethrower to anything else that can learn it. Stab moves are very important, but generally, a Pokemon only needs 1, maybe 2 for one of its types. So your electric type could have reliable Thunderbolt and then maybe also stronger but risky Thunder if you really need a KO in that moment. Or your fighting type could have Mach Punch for priority, then Close Combat when you really need to unload damage.
What I like about Thunder, okay, hold up.
Could have Mach Punch.
No, hold up. There we go.
Thunder if you.
Yeah, what I like about Thunder is that I like the mechanic, like the weather mechanics of Drizzle, where it just bypasses the accuracy check. It will always hit. I really like that. I like funny weather moves, like how Hurricane will always hit in the rain and that kind of stuff, but then it becomes 50% accuracy in the sun. Those ones are always very fun to take advantage of.
Really need a KO in that moment. Or your fighting type could have Mach Punch for priority, then Close Combat when you really need to unload damage. Then the other slots should go to stab moves for the Pokemon's secondary type, or support moves like stat boosting or status inflicting. But inexperienced players may not understand this, thus leading to the mistake of having too many stab moves. As a teenager, I revisited my old white version. I was appalled at my younger self when I saw a Samurott in my party with 4 water-type damaging moves in its moveset.
Water.
Blastoise in Fire Red had Water Pulse, Surf, Hydro Pump, and Hydro Cannon.
That's what I had.
All water, so it's stronger, right? My Sceptile and my old Emerald save literally just had Solar Beam, Leaf Blade, Giga Drain, and Bullet Seed. Oops,
yeah.
All stab moves.
Yeah.
Modern Pokemon games
that.
often have routes that are generally straight lines or simply wide open fields. Older ones had literal mazes. Dungeons like Granite Cave or Mount Coronet can be true labyrinths in Pokemon, and it's even tougher if it's something dark that needs flash. I had guidebooks as a kid, so I could always make my way out if I got a bit lost, but A lot of people didn't have that resource and got stuck permanently. When I was a kid, I wasn't able to beat Pokemon Diamond because I was stuck in Mount Coronet, not being able to find the damn entrance to the cave in the snow area.
To be fair, I always get lost in these types of mazes also. I'm terrible with directions. I still remember one time I was playing Pokemon Black and White on stream, right? And then my chat said, okay, Maple, now you go to the right. And I go to the left and go, damn, why you guys give such bad directions? Okay, to be fair though, left and right come automatically when I'm driving, just never anywhere else. But luckily when I'm driving.
And then to bring it back to Tyler's comment, which had a bunch of mistakes in one, Leaf Green was my first Pokemon game, and in one of my later runs, after having already had to restart because I got lost in Silphco. Look, man, I know you were 7, but there was an elevator. But it's not just getting lost. This mistake covers all methods of just getting stuck. Getting stuck in Slateport City because I didn't know you could go under the cycling road. Same. On my first playthrough in Ruby, I was in Slateport for ages because
No, I can see someone getting lost because of that. So you think it was a barrier, right? Nah, it was a bridge.
couldn't get past the Team Magma blockade. Then after my mom suggested talking to everyone in town, that magically made Team Magma disappear from the museum entrance and thus made it so I could move on. And then of course I got stuck again because I didn't realize you could go under the cycling road. So you could get stuck due to being lost in a cave or weird progression mechanics or another more amusing reason. Gardenia's gym, oh my god. When the guide at the gym said to look in the trees for hidden trainers, I thought he meant in Eterna Forest. I spent 3 months thinking that the game was unbeatable or that I missed something, but then I heard someone at school talk about how he just beat Gardenia's gym and I thought he was lying. So I asked him and he said they were in the gym. So hooray, I beat the game with Luxray, Infernape, and Staraptor.
Yay!
I'm glad it worked out, but that is very funny. Prior to the Gen 7 introduction of Ride Pokemon, to progress through Pokemon games, you had to teach your Pokemon HM moves. HM being short for Hidden Machine. That was how they prevented progression until defeating certain gym leaders. Now, some of these HM moves are pretty solid. Strength is not the best normal attack, but it's acceptable. Surf is one of the best water moves in the game, and Fly thankfully is solidly powerful, while being a move you definitely want in your party at all times. But most HM moves stink! Waterfall and Dive are strictly worse than Surf before Gen 4, but can maybe be justified after that if your water type is a physical attack.
Yeah. I remember, cause like it would be really annoying too. I'm glad you just don't need these types of HM moves anymore, because back in the day, you had to find that one guy who's the move deleter, and then you can replace your HM moves, which would be really bad because I remember, oh my god, I taught my Shroomish Flash, right? So I could get through Granite Cave to find Steven and give him his like letter being like, oh yeah, you like rocks, bro? Yeah, anyway, here's your letter. And then it would evolve into a Breloom, but bro still had Flash and I couldn't delete him until Lily Cove, I want to say. I think that's where he is. But yeah, it was so annoying.
Rock Climb is under 100 power, yet has the poor accuracy of a much stronger move. Cut is only...
Oh, I'm covering it, but it's 85 accuracy he highlighted, by the way. And I'm gonna be real, 85 accuracy, no, that's a 50-50. You either hit it or you don't. And because it's 85 accuracy, you don't.
50 power, and weirdly not even perfectly accurate. Rock Smash is only 40 power, but in Gens 2 and 3, it was only 20.
20?
And then worst of all, Defog and Flash. Defog lowers the enemy's evasion, which is mostly useless, and it also clears hazards on both sides of the field, which has some applications in competitive play, but not in a playthrough. But then Flash is truly awful. It lowers the enemy's accuracy by 1 stage, the same thing as Sand Attack.
Yeah,
but
dog
unlike
shit.
Sand Attack, in Gens 1, 2, and 3, Flash's accuracy was only 70%.
Yeah, it was.
Are you kidding me? It's a flash of light. How do you miss? These moves are horrible, but unfortunately important for game progression in the earlier games, leading to the common mistake of teaching your main party members bad HM moves.
Yeah.
Now, why am I naming HM moves specifically and not just teaching your Pokemon bad moves in general? Well, it's because You can't get rid of the frickin' HM moves. To prevent soft locking, HM moves can only be deleted by the move deleter, not overwritten when learning a new move upon leveling up. That means if you teach your Ivysaur Flash right when you get the HM, you can't delete it until you get access to the move deleter. And in Gen 1, there's no move deleter at all.
Oh.
Meaning you have permanently ruined your starter's moveset. This is extra frustrating for Flash because starting in Gen 4, it was a deletable TM, but in Gens 1 through 3, it's a not deletable HM. This is insane. It is a wholly optional move. I forgot HMs couldn't be removed easily, and I taught Flash to all my Pokemon in Leaf Green. I taught my Sceptile Cut, Flash, and Rock Smash, also had Leaf Blade, while it was a Trico/Grovyle in my very first game, which was Emerald. And then when I tried to teach it another level up move, I couldn't get it to forget those 3 HM moves and was frustrated. I didn't know about the move deleter at the time. So that Sceptile had 3 HM moves plus Leaf Blade, even in the Pokemon League battles as well.
Oh, that sucks so bad. Oh my god.
I am eternally grateful that HM moves are gone. They were one of the most annoying pieces of Pokemon. Get me a ride Pokemon or even a stupid bike any day of the week. The Master Ball is the most useful Pokeball, and because of that, you can only get 1 in most games. Okay, I guess you can get one if like you win the lottery thing, but like that's just so unlikely. 99.999% of people they're just gonna get 1. Therefore, a Master Ball should only ever be used on a shiny or on a fleeing roaming legendary.
I use mine on a Skarmory.
But clearly, many of you did not follow that advice.
That's me.
And
That's
thus
me.
made the mistake of bad Master Ball usage.
Okay, but like I like Skarmory, but so that's like better. Or at least I gaslit myself into liking Skarmory. Like I really like Skarmory, guys. Trust. It's not Cope.
Using a Master Ball on a Ditto because I thought it was a legendary. I used a Master Ball on a Rhydon right before Mewtwo in Let's Go. I saw in the anime Farfetch'd was rare, so I used my Master Ball on it. When I was a kid, maybe 5 or 6, I was playing Pokemon Silver and used my Master Ball on a Delibird because I was sick of it fleeing on me. My parents, who were helping me catch Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, were so mad. When I got the Master Ball, I read that it captures anything without fail. I tested it out on a Snover. I was a little upset when I released the Snover and didn't get the ball back. There are countless stories like these, but this next one I think is my personal favorite. Throwing a Master Ball at Lorelei's Slowbro in yellow, because it can catch any Pokemon without fail. This person took the word any so literally, they tried to use it on a trainer's Pokemon.
Yeah,
It's
take
even
that
more
Pokemon,
painful since using a
yeah.
ball on a trainer's Pokemon makes you lose the ball. So they didn't even get a Pokemon out of it. Autosave, a common feature in video games, was not added to Pokemon until Sword and Shield, only 5 years ago. Yes, it has already been half a decade since Sword and Shield came out. Time marches ever quicker. But before that, you had to remember to manually save. And it can be very easy to make the simple mistake of forgetting to save and suffering the consequences as a result. One bad time to forget to save is before fighting a legendary, since in many of the older games, you don't get any second chances if you knock it out.
That's right.
Although, little flex here, I did think to save in front of Groudon in my very first Ruby playthrough. I didn't like see that advice anywhere. I came up with it myself. I'm very proud of that. I was an anxious child. Another consequence of not saving, though, is just losing progress. First ever playthrough of Blue as an 8-year-old, went through Rock Tunnel without Flash and made it without a guide. Got to Celadon and had to go to bed, and forgot to save after struggling to get through Rock Tunnel for 2 hours. Had to redo it the next day. Or, even worse, not saving the game after 5 hours of playing.
5 hours
But
is
then
insane.
there's this one, which sounds like genuinely traumatizing, but also I have to admit I kind of doubt it. Playing through the entirety of Pokemon Heart Gold, almost beating the champion, then the game freezing for whatever reason, sending me back to the beginning of the game because I didn't save once the entire playthrough. I cried. Look, I want to be nice, but like, I don't
Not
believe
once?
you. Who in their right mind would not save for an entire playthrough? Like, did you just close the DS and leave it plugged in? Like, did people do that? This next mistake is a very painful one. And while I do feel sympathy for those of you who've done it, I also don't understand it. Pokemon games have always had a release feature to allow the player to clear out Pokemon if their boxes get full. I never found it necessary until modern games like Let's Go or Legends Arceus, where catching is quick and easy, and thus I never used the feature as a kid. But somehow, so many of you made the mistake of releasing a Pokemon you shouldn't. A lot of you ended up releasing your starter. Tyler's comment already mentioned him doing that, but there were more. Accidentally released my starter Blaziken while trying to swap it for a Macargo I'd just gotten and wanted to level up. My first time playing, I didn't understand how the PC/box worked and couldn't figure out how to get my starter back into my party. I thought release might be the way to get my Totodile back, my reasoning being that it would release the Pokemon from the box and back to me. Okay, at least this one had some reasoning behind it, but how did the Totodile get into the box in the first place? Then some others of you released legendaries. I thought I was leaving the box, and instead I released my Thundurus from Pokemon White. I have been distraught since. I released my BDSP gift, Mew. And then of course, so many of you released shiny Pokemon. I released a shiny Sandshrew thinking it was less cool than my regular Sandshrew. I had 2 Poochyena, one with gray fur and one with yellow fur. I released the one with yellow fur because it was significantly weaker and only knew Ice Fang. I will always regret this. When I was 10, I had a Lotad with Pokerus. I released it because I thought it was going to break my game. It was also a shiny. Yikes, bit of a double whammy there. If it's real, both a shiny with Pokerus, really? Really? Now, as I mentioned, as a kid, I never released any Pokemon, much less an important starter or legendary, so I have an important question for all of you out there who did make this mistake. Why didn't you just turn off the game? So many of the mistakes in this video are ones that are not immediately obvious or are ones you cannot fix, such as wasting time leveling up a trait evolution or losing progress because you didn't save. And for some of these, like, I kind of get it. It's like, if you don't understand the value of a shiny, you're more willing to release it. But like, you also could have just left it in the box. But not only is releasing a legendary or a starter like an obvious bad thing, it gives you immediate feedback. You've done it. It's like, oh, bye-bye, it's gone. And you what?
It's like, yeah, bye-bye Mew, bye-bye forever. And then you're like, I guess I'll just turn the game off and on again. I think I've only ever released like one Pokemon like as a kid, but then I just like went, oh shit, that was my Mudkip. Well, better start over.
You just save after? You don't just turn off the game. Forget the progress up to that point. Get your starter back. Not immediately resetting your game to get rid of that mistake is insane to me. But I guess kids are insane.
Yeah, kids are stupid. I was stupid.
This is the second to last mistake on this list, and it is so painful, I'm genuinely grateful that I've never done it. Shiny Pokemon are awesome. They're rare and special, different colored Pokemon, and in the older games, they are exceedingly difficult to find. Therefore, it really sucks when you find one and then don't catch it. Could be because it KOs itself, you get a badly timed crit, you're low on Pokeballs, etc. Those are painful, but most of the time they're bad luck or miscalculations. The far worse mistake is intentionally failing a shiny, because if you do it on purpose, then learn later what you did, not only do you not have the shiny, but then you have to live with yourself. When I was younger, I ran from my first ever full odds shiny because I thought it was a virus on my 3DS. Why is this Shinx yellow? I want the original blue one. Kills it without hesitation. I once thought as a kid that the blue Boldors in Chargestone Cave looked blue because of the blue crystals that you can find there. So I definitely ran away from more than one shiny Boldor at some point in my childhood. That yellow Pidgey's a glitch. Restart your game. From my cousin. He is disowned in my eyes.
Yeah.
Well, at least the last person has someone to blame other than themselves. Before I get to the most painful mistake in Pokemon, I wanted to read some other comments that you all left. They don't really fit into any other mistakes in this video because I don't think anyone else but the writers of these comments made these mistakes, which is why I want to mention them. They're so entertaining. My friend was told the Everstone prevented stat drops, so he had it on his starter near the entire game. trading away my first ever full odds shiny, then ending the friendship before getting it back. Not subscribing to MandJTV. Sorry, I thought I'd sneak that in there. I would consider it a mistake though. When I was 8 years old, every time an NPC or any Pokemon at all used Perish Song, I'd take off the sound of my device. I misunderstood the whole
Bro, try to soundproof IRL. That's crazy.
gotta catch 'em all motto. I have 4 boxes of just Poochyena sitting on my Emerald cartridge from when I was 6. And now for my personal favorite. Growing up, my family owned a single computer. I was taught that we were not allowed to log on to each other's profiles, only our own. So when I got my first Pokemon game and found every Pokemon Center had a computer, I would refuse to log into someone's PC.
Yeah, who is
because
it?
It was a breach of privacy. As such, I was stuck with only 6 Pokemon for months. Incredible, spectacular, no notes, a perfect illustration of the fact that, like, it was weird that they had the Pokemon storage system named after someone that was not the player. Like, that.
Yeah, it's like someone's PC, and then eventually learns like, oh, this one's like Bill's PC. Yeah, but then it's like, why would you log into his PC, you know? It's like, where's mine? And then for yours, it's only item storage and mail.
It was an odd thing that they did, right? But now for the final mistake, the most painful one. It's at the top of the list because not only can it ruin relationships, but it can do more damage than all of these other mistakes combined. Letting someone else destroy your game.
Oh.
Some of you let someone else play your game, and that someone else made one of the other mistakes in this video. But I'm talking about worse. Letting my little brother play Crystal version when he could barely read.
I think my only time was, let's see. I want to say it was I lent my cousin the game, and I think he turned all of my berries into Pokeblocks. I think I restarted the game. New file. I was like, well, shit, I'm not getting back any of my berries. It was late game too, and I was like, fuck it. Those were my berries. I wanted to make the Pokeblocks. I wanted to make the Pokeblocks.
Naturally, the first thing he did was start a new game and erase all my progress.
That's
my friend
crazy.
told me you can have 2 save files on Pokemon Sun, so I gave him my DS, and he got rid of 5 years of progress on my first Pokemon playthrough. Countless beloved Pokemon and years of progress wiped out by someone you once held dear. You lose so much, but you also bear a grudge. There's nothing worse that could happen.
Yeah, I hold grudges.
Except doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Like I did. My original Ruby save file, I wiped clean because I wanted all 3 starters in Sapphire? What was I thinking? I have no one to blame but myself. And my mistake is more painful. Because not only do I have no one to blame but myself, but I am alone in my pain. Wiping out your own save file is not an entry in this video because no one else left comments about it. I am alone in my foolishness.
Okay, to be fair though, I was kind of fucked up as a kid too. Like, you see, when I couldn't figure out what to do, I would just make a new game. Yeah. So like, after I beat Flannery one time, I couldn't remember that our dad was a gym leader in Gen 3, so Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. It didn't cross my mind that he was the 5th gym leader, right? So I was like, damn, I don't know where to go. So I restart my game. New file, everything, new. And then in that playthrough, I managed to remember, oh yeah, my dad's a gym leader. But there's like countless games I've played, by the way, where I would just reset the entire game because I could not figure out what to do, or I could not win. So I go, well, maybe you'll be different in the next world, or the next world, or the next world, or the next world. Yeah, I'm a bit fucked up. Yeah, yeah. Don't look at me like that, yeah.
And suffering.
No, I get it.
Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see another one, here's a video about 12 famous Pokemon theories and whether I think they're true. Some of them are definitely really stupid, but other ones are, I think, pretty legit.
Yippee!
It's okay, bro. I'm fucked up too. Well, that was a fun one, actually. I really like that one. Because, like, 12 dumb mistakes you made in Pokemon. Yeah, I've made quite a few. Like, killing the save files over and over and over. I didn't just do this for Pokemon, by the way. I did this for a lot of things. Like, Mega Man Battle Network, like, 6. One time, I couldn't beat the clown guy. And then I was like, well, shit. A skill issue on my part. I reset the game file. And I just said, yeah, I'll beat him this time. Resets the entire game. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed me watching 12 dumb mistakes you made in Pokemon. If you guys have more recommendations, whether it's from MandJTV's channel or any other channel, really, I'd appreciate it. I really like learning about random Pokemon stuff, so I do appreciate every single comment that has, like, well, comments in general, and also a comment that has suggestions, just because I like Pokemon. That is all. Bye-bye! Subscribe!